Get out, you're not welcome here anymore." My father's words cut through the air like a knife, his face red with anger. I stood in our living room, my hands trembling as I clutched my worn backpack, the only possession they'd let me take. My name is Sarah Mitchell, and on my 18th birthday, my parents threw me out of their house. Not because I'd done anything wrong, but because I refused to follow their carefully planned path for my life. "You ungrateful child," my mother spat, her perfectly manicured nails gripping the back of a chair. "We gave you everything, planned your entire future, and this is how you repay us." Everything they'd given me came with strings attached. The expensive private school education. It was to prepare me for the prestigious law career they'd chosen. The piano lessons, to make me more appealing to their country club friends' sons. My entire life had been a carefully orchestrated performance, and I was expected to play my part without question. But I had different dreams. Instead of law school, I wanted to pursue my passion for technology and innovation. I'd been secretly developing apps since I was 14, teaching myself coding late at night while my parents thought I was studying case law. "If you walk out that door," my father warned, his voice cold, "don't expect any support from us. No money, no college fund, nothing." I looked at the man who had once carried me on his shoulders, who had taught me to ride a bike, who had promised to always protect me. Now he was throwing me out into the world with nothing but a backpack and the clothes on my back. "Fine," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "Keep the money. Keep everything. I'll make it on my own." My mother laughed, a harsh, bitter sound that I'd never forget. "You? On your own? You can barely do your own laundry. What makes you think you can survive without us?" I didn't answer. Instead, I turned and walked toward the door, each step feeling like lead. Behind me, I heard my father's final words. "When you fail, and you will fail, don't come crawling back to us." The door slammed behind me with a finality that echoed through my bones. I stood on our perfect suburban street, surrounded by perfect houses with perfect families, feeling anything but perfect. In my backpack, I had exactly $237 saved from my part-time job at the local library, my laptop, 3 changes of clothes, and a dream that my parents had tried to crush. It wasn't much, but it was all I needed to start. That first night, I slept in a 24-hour cafe, buying small cups of coffee every few hours to justify my presence. The barista, Mike, must have sensed something was wrong because he kept refilling my cup without charging me. "Rough night?" he asked during his break, sliding into the booth across from me. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak without breaking down. My laptop was open in front of me, lines of code filling the screen. My escape, my future. "What are you working on?" he asked, genuinely curious. For the first time that day, I felt a spark of excitement. "It's an app," I explained, my voice growing stronger. "It helps small businesses manage their inventory and customer relationships. Most existing solutions are too expensive or complicated for small shops. But this," I turned the screen to show him the interface I'd designed. Mike's eyes widened. "This could actually help us here. Our inventory system is a nightmare." That conversation was the beginning of everything. Mike introduced me to the cafe owner, Sarah, who not only became my first client but also offered me a job in a small room above the cafe in exchange for helping her modernize her business. I worked during the day, serving coffee and learning everything I could about how small businesses operated. At night, I coded, refining my app based on the real-world problems I observed. Sarah's cafe became my testing ground, and every success, every failure taught me something new. Word spread through the local business community. The vintage clothing store 2 doors down wanted my help. Then the bookshop across the street. Soon, I had a small but growing client base. 6 months after being thrown out, I registered my company, Smart Biz Solutions. The registration fee took almost all my savings, but I didn't care. This was my declaration of independence. A year passed. My app evolved based on user feedback. I hired my first employee, a college student named Jamie who was brilliant at customer support. We worked out of the cafe's back room, surrounded by the smell of coffee and the sound of customers. Then came the turning point. A local business magazine did a small feature on how my app was helping transform small businesses in the area. It wasn't much, just a half-page article with a grainy photo, but it caught the attention of a Silicon Valley investor. Marcus Chen walked into the cafe on a Tuesday morning, ordered a cappuccino, and changed my life. He wasn't what I expected a venture capitalist to look like, wearing jeans and a faded t-shirt, but his questions were sharp and precise. "Your app solves a real problem," he said after an hour of discussion, "but you're thinking too small. This could help millions of small businesses worldwide." He offered to invest $500,000 for a 10% stake in my company. It was more money than I'd ever seen, but I didn't accept immediately. Instead, I negotiated, something my parents would never have believed I could do. 5%, I countered, "and I want access to your network of mentors." Marcus smiled, a glimmer of respect in his eyes. 7% mentorship, and I'll help you set up proper offices. We shook hands over coffee cups, and SmartBiz Solutions entered its next phase. Real offices, a growing team, and a product that was finally ready to scale. The next 3 years were a blur of growth, challenges, and learning. Every mistake taught me something. Every success pushed me to aim higher. My team grew from just Jamie to 50 people, then 100. We expanded internationally, translating our app into 12 languages. I never forgot where I came from. The cafe remained our unofficial meeting spot, and I made sure Sarah always had the latest version of our software for free. Mike became our head of customer experience. His understanding of small business needs proved invaluable. By my 23rd birthday, SmartBiz Solutions was valued at $15 million. We had offices in 3 countries and over 500 employees. The small app I'd started coding in my bedroom had evolved into a comprehensive platform used by thousands of businesses worldwide. But success brought unexpected challenges. As our company gained recognition, I knew it was only a matter of time before my parents discovered what I'd built. I wasn't sure if I was ready to face them, but life has a way of forcing confrontations when you least expect them. The call came on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. I was in my office, reviewing plans for our new ad-powered feature, when my assistant buzzed in. "Ms. Mitchell, there's a Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell here to see you. They say they're your parents." I felt my heart stop for a moment. 5 years had passed since that night they threw me out. 5 years of building, growing, and proving them wrong. Now they were here, probably having seen our recent feature in Business Weekly. "Should I send them away?" my assistant asked, concern evident in her voice. I took a deep breath, straightening my shoulders. "No," I replied. "Send them in." As I waited for the door to open, I glanced at the wall of photos behind my desk. Pictures of my team, our company events, the faces of the family I'd chosen for myself. Whatever my parents wanted, they were about to learn that the daughter they'd abandoned had built something far greater than they could have imagined. The door opened, and I faced my past, ready to show them exactly who I'd become. The door opened slowly, revealing faces that had haunted my dreams for 5 years. My mother entered first, her designer handbag clutched tightly against her chest like armor. My father followed, his once commanding presence somehow diminished in the vastness of my corner office. They looked older, more tired than I remembered. My mother's perfectly maintained appearance couldn't hide the new wrinkles around her eyes. My father's hair had turned completely gray. "Sarah," my mother breathed, her eyes darting around the office, taking in the floor-to-ceiling windows, the modern furniture, the view of the city skyline. "We saw you on TV last night, the business segment about rising tech entrepreneurs." I remained seated behind my desk, my posture straight, hands folded calmly in front of me. "Yes, CNB's Next Generation Leaders feature. Did you enjoy it?" My father cleared his throat. $89 million, he said, as if testing the words. "Our daughter built an $89 million company." "Your daughter?" I raised an eyebrow. "I stopped being your daughter the night you threw me out with nothing but a backpack." My mother stepped forward, her eyes glistening. "We were wrong, Sarah. We see that now. We were trying to protect you, to ensure you had a secure future. By controlling every aspect of my life." I interrupted, my voice sharp. "By throwing me out when I dared to have dreams of my own." "We want to make things right," my father said, his voice softer than I'd ever heard it. "We're still family." I stood up slowly, walking to the wall of photos behind my desk. "This is my family now," I said, gesturing to the hundreds of smiling faces. "These people believed in me when you didn't. They supported me when you abandoned me." My mother gasped softly as she looked at the photos. "All these people work for you," she whispered. "After a few months when you didn't come back, we tried to find you." "Not hard enough," I said, remembering countless nights wondering if they missed me at all. I was working at Sarah's cafe the whole time, just 20 minutes from our house. You never came. We were wrong, my father admitted, his voice breaking. We were so focused on the life we wanted for you, we couldn't see the amazing life you could build for yourself. I walked to the window, looking out at the city where I built my empire from nothing. Do you know what I learned after you threw me out? I learned that family isn't about blood or obligation. It's about choice. It's about standing by someone when they need you most. I turned back to face them. Every person in those photos on my wall. They chose to be part of this journey. They believe in our mission to help small businesses thrive. They work harder than any law degree could have made me work. And they do it because they believe in something bigger than themselves. Jamie stepped forward. Sarah doesn't just run this company, he said, his voice firm. She transformed it into a community. When Ben in accounting needed help with his mom's medical bills, she set up a company emergency fund. When Maria in development had her baby, Sarah created our industry-leading parental leave policy. My mother was crying openly now. We didn't know. We never imagined. No, I agreed. You never did imagine I could be more than what you planned for me. But here I am. I walked to my desk and picked up a frame. The only personal photo I kept there. It showed me with Mike and Sarah from the cafe, taken the day we launched our first official version of SmartBiz Solutions. These people, I said, showing them the photo, gave me a chance when I had nothing. They became my family when you decided I wasn't worth keeping in yours. My father reached for the frame with trembling hands. Sarah, please, give us a chance to make things right. We could be a family again. I took the photo back, replacing it carefully on my desk. I have a board meeting in 10 minutes. My team is presenting our expansion plans for Asia. We're projecting to help over 1 million small businesses by next year. Of course, my mother stood up, smoothing her dress nervously. Could we maybe have dinner sometime? Talk properly? I looked at them, really looked at them. The parents who had once seemed so powerful, so absolute in their authority, now appeared small and uncertain in my world. I have dinner with my leadership team every Thursday at Sarah's Cafe, I said finally, the place where my real journey began. If you want to understand who I am now, that's where you'll find me. They nodded, understanding the significance. As they turned to leave, my father paused at the door. We're proud of you, Sarah, he said softly, even though we have no right to be. After they left, Jamie stayed, watching me carefully. You okay? I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years. You know what? I really am. They came here expecting to find their little girl, someone they could still control. Instead, they found me. Jamie grinned. They found a badass CEO who built an empire from nothing. No, I corrected him, gesturing to our wall of photos. We built an empire. All of us. That evening, I walked into Sarah's Cafe for our regular Thursday dinner. The familiar smell of coffee and freshly baked cookies wrapped around me like a warm hug. My leadership team, my chosen family, was already there, laptops open, arguing good-naturedly about market strategies. Mike was behind the counter, still making the best cappuccino in the city. Sarah was teaching our newest intern how to properly clean the espresso machine, just like she once taught me. As I took my usual seat, I noticed 2 figures standing uncertainly outside the cafe's window. My parents, dressed more casually than I'd ever seen them, clearly debating whether to come in. I caught Sarah's eye, and she nodded in understanding. She went to the door and opened it wide. Welcome to Sarah's Cafe, she said warmly. Your daughter has told us so much about you. As my parents stepped into the cafe where their abandoned daughter had begun her journey to success, I realized something profound. Sometimes the family you choose becomes more real than the family you're born into. And sometimes, the best revenge isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. My empire wasn't built on the foundation of the prestigious law career they planned for me. It was built on coffee-fueled coding sessions, on faith when no one else believed, on the collective dreams of 1,200 people who chose to be part of something bigger than themselves. That's what my parents saw on TV, and that's what finally brought them back. Not the $89 million valuation, but the undeniable evidence that their daughter had built something remarkable. Not despite their abandonment, but because of it. As they hesitantly approached our table, I stood up to make introductions. Everyone, these are my parents. They're here to learn about our family. And in that moment, surrounded by the people who had become my true family, I knew that I had built something far more valuable than just a successful company. I had built a home where everyone belonged exactly as they were. The empire I built wasn't just about business success. It was about creating the accepting, supportive family I had always dreamed of having. And that was worth more than any inheritance my parents could have given me. Sometimes being abandoned is just the universe's way of pushing you toward your real destiny. In my case, it pushed me straight into an $89 million success story, with a family 1,200 strong and growing. And that's a success no one can take away from me.